Good morning, Commissioners. I'm calling this meeting of the South Carolina Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Commission to order. Today is January the 19th, 2023, and it's 10 a.m. I'm going to ask Commissioner Robin Blackwood to read the notice of meeting statement.
A meeting notice announcing the date, time, and place of the January 19th, 2023 commission meeting was distributed January 17th, 2023 to appropriate media and other groups or individuals who have requested notification. The announcement and agenda were posted at the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs Central Administrative Office and on the website. In accordance with Americans with Disabilities Act, the public has been notified that accommodations such as interpreters, mobility assistance, or other assistance will be provided to individuals with disabilities and special needs if requested in advance.
Thank you, Commissioner Blackwood. Good morning. Welcome to DDSN. This morning we have a couple of guests with us. I think Lindsay Daniels from Community Options is with us, and Margie Williamson from the ARC is with us. Welcome. Glad to have you both with us. Do we have any other guests in the audience today? The rest are staff. Well, we are glad to have you at DDSN today, and we look forward to having a very productive meeting today. And let's move forward with the adoption of the agenda. Commissioners, you have that before you and received it in advance. Are there any additions, subtractions, or amendments to the agenda that need to be made? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
I have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, if the agenda is adopted, we will move forward. Commissioner Woodhead, you have the invocation this morning.
Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin our meeting. We are grateful for those giving us this opportunity to have this meeting today. Please watch over all of us as we have traveled here in person and those listening in. Please give us the strength and knowledge to open our hearts to how we may better serve you and better serve those with disabilities. In Jesus' name, amen.
Very good. Amen.
Thank you. The next thing we have is the approval of the commission minutes, meeting minutes, and that is under tab 2 in your book, Commissioners. You'll notice we have the minutes of the January the 4th meeting, and the minutes from the November 17th meeting. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
The motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the minutes are approved and can be posted. Commissioners update. All right, let's start with Commissioner Thomas. Why don't you go first?
Nothing today.
Nothing today.
I'm trying to get rid of a headache, but it's a fierce headache.
Bless your
Okay,
heart.
that's Sunday.
Bless your
God
heart.
bless my heart.
All right, Commissioner Tiller?
Nothing to report.
Nothing new? How about Commissioner Buckley?
Yeah, I have a few things.
Okay.
The first thing I wanted to provide an update on is I attended Greenwood Genetics December 15th board meeting and was welcomed in that meeting, and it was great to get some updates on what they have going on over there and to meet some of the new folks I had not met this last year. So I also wanted to publicly recognize and thank Dr. Fry for her commitment to DDSN. I have tremendous respect and admiration for her strong leadership, her passion and dedication to this agency. She reinforced and strengthened DDSN's executive leadership team. And I'm grateful to Constance Holloway for agreeing to serve as interim state director for the second time in 2 years. I'm confident this agency is in good hands, and the commission will work hard to find another state director to lead this agency and continue the important changes that Dr. Fry and her executive team were working on.
Thank you.
I also wanted to take this opportunity to recognize my son's personal care aide. Her name is Susan T. She died unexpectedly in late November. She was everything a family would want in a caregiver for their child with a disability, and her loss has been really devastating. She was dependable, she was reliable, and she was an important part of our family for 8 years. Her death has been a reminder of the very important role personal care aides and respite workers offer and provide to all the families that DDSN serves. And that's not.
So sorry for your loss. I know that's been tough. Michelle?
I just wanted to, we went out west, and my family got to tour the National Ability Center in Park City. And it was a great facility, helping everybody with disabilities, and it was a great equestrian program. And it was really a neat opportunity to go and visit everything that they're offering. So, it was fun.
What is the center called again?
National Ability Center in Park City, and they offer everything in the winter,
Winter sports, just recreation?
winter sports. So we went skiing, so we had, they helped with the bi-ski for my daughter. And then we went to their headquarters to see everything. They have a rock wall, and it was neat, everything that they had to offer. It was, my daughter wants to internship there now.
That's great.
So,
Well,
yeah.
College we can, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
It was a great place.
Sounds awesome.
Good trip.
Mr. Miller?
I don't have anything to report.
Alphys?
I do have one little thing. I received a Christmas card this past year, this past Christmas from, one of the many that I get, since I'm nice enough to send them out to some people. And it was one that, from a man that specializes in retrofitting people's, homes for handicap accessibility related matters. He had done some work in my house some years ago, and took some pictures of my house because of some other issues relating to before he ever did that work. But anyway, I just wanted to say that in case anybody listening needs anybody to do that, particularly in the lower country part of he travels around. So if anybody even in the low country that would be interested in, he's a private contractor, but being interested in that would be, he'd be a prudent person to use. And if anybody needs it, they can just email me and I can send him his information. But he's a really good guy and done a really good job. Does a really good job at that. So, and not everybody does that, but he really understands disability related matters like that.
Well, I just have a brief thing. I just want to thank everyone for your prayers. I'm 1 month post-surgery hip replacement and doing great. I appreciate all the prayers and all the thoughts that you all have sent me, the cards. I was just overwhelmed at the support that I had from my DDSN community, and I just want y'all to know how much I appreciate it. I did have a wonderful opportunity. I went to my first outing since the surgery. Last Wednesday, I went to the inaugural ball for Governor Henry McMaster. Had a wonderful opportunity to sit and talk with a lot of legislators there, explain what's going on at DDSN and what wonderful work we're doing at DDSN and the new programs we have happening and the new things that we're offering at DDSN. They're very excited. I've been invited to come and spend some time with some of the legislators, and they're going to take me to go meet with them and meet with some of those folks, which I'm excited about. I think that'll be a great opportunity for us to share with our larger community across town what exactly DDSN does with the money that they send us. So, and I will, of course, include Commissioner Thomas in on that. I know he's our legislative liaison, but it was a wonderful opportunity to really share those thoughts. I also want to, I kind of want to just hit on something real quick. Over the last 3 years, we've always said, call us if we can help you, call us and let us know what we can do. And I received a lot of those calls, a lot. I mean, but I want people to understand that just because you call a commissioner doesn't mean we can change rules and doesn't mean we can override decisions that are policy. We make policy. We don't, how do you say, carry it out, or we don't enforce that. That's our agency's job. Now, if we see that a policy isn't being followed, we can obviously call our staff or whatever and ask them to look at something again. But I just don't want people to think that just because you call a commissioner that we can snap our fingers and override our staff. Because I've gotten some of those calls and had to explain that to a lot of people. And I just think people think that we do, that we can do that, and that's not how it works at DDSN. So I just wanted to clarify that, so that everyone understood that always call us, but then we're gonna turn you over to a staff member who can actually solve that problem. Okay? All right, that is my,
Quick little point as to take off on what you said. Commissioner Malford had contacted me that there had been a bill introduced that was a governor's recommendation asking for $5 million to analyze the whole medical scheme that's out there. So I'm sure we'll be jumping on that by way of, well, you know, how does that fit in? It actually didn't mention us in the broad outline, but we're certainly included because it basically said and other entities. So that and you know, we've got an LAC report coming out. We'll have possibly a separate piece of legislation. It's interesting because the governor has something that he's looking at by way of total scheme. You know, I'm not quite sure how a separate piece of legislation is going to fit in with that, except perhaps be included. So it's going to be an interesting year.
will be.
Interesting year for us.
I agree. All right, today we have no public input, which is rare. If we ever have any, you know, all you have to do is get here a little bit early, sign up, and we're always glad to have you speak. If you can't be with us in person, you can call DDSN in advance, and they will put you on a phone line to us so that you can speak to us directly. I'm going to call on PJ Piera to do the Silver Palmetto Award.
Okay, so the update on the Silver Palmetto Award. Unfortunately, we did not receive any nominations for 2022 for the Silver Palmetto Award. While this is not unprecedented, there's been previous years where no one gave a nomination.
Can you explain what that is exactly?
So it is honoring a municipality or a town that has done something significant for the disabled community. Whether it's programs or services or basically raising awareness. We've in the past done notices, you know, at the commission meeting, as well as gotten the word out to our providers at our provider meetings. I would think this year those are typically done November into December. I think this year, one thing that I will do different is start the process in October and do a little bit more marketing and promotion. Like, you know, you want to be the next big town, like fill in the blank, these examples in the past and what kind of things they've done. I think that's something that has been done previously that I will try to do this year to see if I can kind of get people to be a little bit more motivated to kind of honor their local town or municipality for this award. So, so that's all I have as far as an update, but it happens, I guess.
I have a question.
Yes.
What is the timeframe for what is the window of?
So in previous years, we usually gave notice in November, and then the nominations were due in the middle of December. So basically, roughly a 4-week window. I extended the window this year to the end of December to make it a 6-week window, and received no questions, no queries about it. We did do multiple. So we had announcements going out to the providers. We also put a reminder in middle of December, or roughly when we have our commission meeting. We didn't have one in December. So I put one in again to the providers, as well as announced it at the provider meeting. So they had 2 provider meetings and 1 commission meeting as well to put in a nomination. I guess I would do a little bit more in marketing.
Do only the private provider, who nominates is the question. Can anyone nominate?
It would be through anyone in our provider network.
Can like
so-
commissioners nominate
I
a community, or how does it work?
don't know. I don't believe we've gotten, I'm very new to the process,
On that.
but I don't believe that there would be anything wrong with that. I mean, it's like, it would be anyone that can
We
nominate.
don't vote on it.
Yes.
Y'all vote.
Yeah, we have a committee that would put in. So I guess if you have a city or municipality that has done something significant within your regions, that might be a way of getting a nomination. Or if you would put them in touch with me, you
Okay.
know, they're a particular representative,
Okay.
put them in touch with me, and I would be able to explain, you know, the award, and, you know, it's basically a nomination letter.
Yeah.
Any supporting letters and like news clippings about, you know, anything on whether they put in, they've increased accessibility on a particular trail, or say, for example, like Irma put in that Leo's Landing, the beautiful accessible park that they put in locally. So a lot of communities have done this.
Yeah.
But I guess nobody got motivated enough to nominate them.
It's a
So,
weird time of year too.
yeah, a lot of it is, we have the holidays going on. And I don't know about this particular holiday compared to previous ones. I've seen in the past, we've received up to 5 nominations in a year, or as few as 1.
Okay.
So, you know, if you get your one in, you're the winner.
That's right.
But I will make a much more concerted effort this year. We had no problems getting nominations for the Golden Palmetto Award, which honors a county DSN.
Okay.
And I had multiple nominations for that. So it seems like the counties have no problems getting one in. It seems like getting a provider or a citizen to nominate a city seems to be a little bit more a tougher thing to do, I guess.
Only thing that I could mention as another suggestion is I know that the municipalities have like an annual conference every year in the state, and if maybe we could get on their agenda or be a part of their flyer.
We actually give the award at the state municipal meeting.
Okay, okay.
So, so I had to cancel that. That's in February.
Yeah.
So we were going to
Right, okay.
give that the Silver Palmetto at the municipality meeting to kind of showcase that particular city or municipality. So we do promote it there as well by giving it at that. So our commission, whichever region wins of that commissioner would go to the meeting and give that award.
Well, maybe we can
I
at
guess
least ask to be on the February agenda just to remind people that the award is coming again, and by the end of the year, you know, just let
Sure,
them know,
I can
you
do
know,
that.
like, just be included in an announcement, make sure you know about the award, that, you know, this is the logistics of it for next year, whatever,
Sure.
end of the year, something like that, that would give
I
them
can
some,
send that announcement over to the committee over there.
That'd be great, yeah. might help.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, Perry.
I was just gonna say that we might want to contact the parent groups of the regional centers just to see if they can move anybody. I guess you have an email for all the parent groups of the regional centers, do you?
Most of them, not all. Not all of them meet regularly, and some don't have a formal structure anymore. So I know, like Midlands has a very active group. Coastal has a very active
Yeah,
group.
those probably, right.
Witten.
Witten Center, yes, has a very active group. PD and Salibi, I have not been able to get in touch with any of those parents, so.
They're working on it, I think.
Okay.
Thank you. I just thought it would be.
All right. We're gonna go on to commission business. Finance and Audit Committee Chair, Robin Blackwood.
Okay. So we did not have a Finance and Audit Committee meeting this month, but I did speak with Quincy, our CFO, regarding one item that that he wanted me to bring to the full commission today so that we could review it and vote on it. And that item is in your packet under tab 3. It's under the new service, new non-service contract. So the agency would like to get our approval to solicit bids for two services. So armed security services for DDSN Central Administrative Office, and then unarmed security services for DDSN PD Regional Center. The the reason why this is being brought to us, we have been using mental health security. We've been sharing the security services that kind of is at mental health, and they were doing our campus as well. And the staff feels that we need a little bit more dedicated security protection of our building, I guess, because we've had some break-ins in this building, a few, and the frequency and the, I guess, increased threats or security, for security reasons, the agency would like us to allow them to solicit some bids for a new service to kind of be a little bit more dedicated and on top of what's going on here, because the three, I guess, break-ins we had, mental health security group that we were using, were not able to respond, I guess, quick enough. And we just need something a little more dedicated to this building and not something shared. So I wanted just to bring both of these to the commission so that the agency could look into getting bids for these services.
PD Center has had some incidences there as well, security wise. They're in a very difficult area where there is a lot of crime, that kind of thing, and they've got to have some security down there. So that is the reason for that. And we have had a couple break-ins here at headquarters over the last 6 months. 6 months, yeah. And it's getting more frequent. Didi, I think mental health was controlling our alarm system. Am I correct?
Yeah.
And just was not responding. So, it is time for us to take that on ourselves. Robin, can you explain cost-wise what we're dealing with here?
Well, they're thinking that the cost for, I mean, obviously they've got to solicit the bids and see where things come in at, but they have a potential value of $100,000 per year. And if, or a 5-year term, which would have to be renewed every year at, approximately $500,000. So that's kind of the monetary value that they put on.
Estimated.
Yeah, for security. So,
real quick, do we have metal detectors at the front door of this building? No. Okay. And that's just a concern I have, is who's bringing what into this building. So as we address that, I would also like for us to add that to their thought process, if we don't mind. All right, so we have a request from the finance committee. It does not come with okay, so you're
I need to
making the
make a
motion.
motion, yeah.
Okay, we have the motion to approve this, which allows them to go ahead and solicit the bids.
Yeah.
Do we have a second?
Hi, Commissioners.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Valerie Duncan. I've recently been hired as the Director of Procurement, and I'd like to have a little bit of input on this item.
Okay.
It's a pleasure to stand before you this morning. This is my inaugural with you all, and we look forward to many years of that.
Yeah, well,
I'd like to just have a little input as to kind of the basis of where we're going with this. Due to the building's actual location and the how it's kind of situated, we felt like armed security for this particular building, after the instances that we've had, would be most appropriate, given the fact that there's kind of one way in and one way out. Mental health was not really showing a presence on our campus, especially when commission meetings were being had. As we get into the fall season later in the evening, they weren't really showing the presence and weren't being very responsive. And so that was a lot of the reason why we chose to deviate from continuing in a contract with them. We did have a kind of a yearly contract that automatically renewed on a yearly basis. And we were paying them roughly somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 a month, depending on their level of activity on our campus here. The rate would actually fluctuate. It just depends on how often they had to come over and check our premises or secure our building if there was an actual break-in and that type of thing. So under Dr. Fry's direction, she requested that we have armed security here at our location due to the nature of what we're doing. A part of that is also that we have a security guard downstairs in the front area. But we can add the metal detector request to the solicitation process as a requirement. But we did want to have a physical presence of an armed guard at the front entrance, again, because of how we're situated.
So the motion and second that we got, was that to be in conjunction somehow with?
It was to allow them to get a bid to do this.
Oh, okay, so it did hook us up with another agency, some sort of.
No, just a new service.
Okay, okay, good.
Yes.
I didn't know we were paying our mental health $3,000 a month for this.
Well, I'm a little I'm a little confused now about how the mental health ties into.
So initially, what was done previously by my predecessor was they did what's called a contract between state agencies. It allows us to have a direct contractual relationship with another state agency for specific delineated services as defined within a contractual document without doing any necessary external competition of the vendor community. Since we've decided to move away from that dynamic and now go with an armed security vendor that will have more of a presence on our campus, it does require a solicitation process. Typically, when we go to that dynamic, we do that on a yearly basis with an annual renewal for 1 year and then 4 1-year renewals for a 5-year period. So the amount that you see represented in your notes is a cumulative amount. And then, of course, that's for a 5-year basis.
So, all right, so the armed guard would be like with an established, Pinkerton or somebody
Or
like that?
someone of that nature. That's correct. So it would actually be twofold for this particular location. So they would have armed security downstairs at the front desk in the area where Miss Sylvia sits for intake as we have visitors coming in. And then we would also have someone patrolling during specific hours, maybe a dusk to dawn type scenario where they would specifically patrol this building and the campus.
We have an alarm system here, don't we?
We do have an alarm system,
Yeah.
but because of our kind of situation up on this hill, it makes it harder for just your regular law enforcement to get in and out of here and to know when someone is, because we essentially only have one way in and one way out. But we do have an alarm system. What we're finding was that mental health was not responding to those alarms timely enough to come and do an
Going through
investigation.
mental health and not through the agency. That's just rude. Does the chairwoman know that happened to know that I was a Pinkerton armed guard
Really?
at 18 years old? Even
Mr. Thomas.
at 18, and they handed me a gun with no training, they fingerprinted me. And even then, I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, I thought, this is strange. I've never had a gun before.
Oh, we can always count Commissioner Thomas for a good laugh.
Yes, we can.
I'll pay my way through college one summer.
Oh, thank you for the clarification. I think that's wonderful.
Does-
Welcome to DDSN. We're glad to have you.
Does the motion and the second then do what she wants?
Yes,
Yeah, she just provided an explanation. A little bit more.
Can I clarify one thing about it?
yes,
I think we need to get a price with and without the metal detector.
yes, that's
Not just
fine.
with, not just, let's do it with and without, so we see how much that
I
costs.
agree.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We've had our,
Yeah, I guess the
Okay.
motion would technically.
we'll need an amendment on the motion to divide it and do a motion with the metal detector and price without the metal.
Why would there, I know it's to be financially careful and all that, but wouldn't that be an automatic? I mean, if we're gonna revamp this thing, don't we? Listen, there was an incident at the Gressett Building about 13, 14 years ago where a guy killed 2 people in Charleston and knew some people back at the Gressett Building. And he made it to the campus. He made it to the campus. It was on national news. I don't know if that's the reason they got the metal detectors 15, 17 years ago, but people could have been killed right on the campus. And 2 civilians were killed in Charleston. So if you want to divide it up, that's fine, but
Let's just get it both ways, and let's vote.
I move that we amend to include the bid so that we can see a distinction between them
Sure.
with metal detector, without metal detector.
Okay, we have an amendment. Do we have a second on the amendment?
Second.
All right, a motion, amendment, a second on the amendment. Any further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Motion carries. We'll get, bids on that. Okay? All right, next item. Anything else, Commissioner Blackwood?
I'm good.
All right, and y'all will be meeting this month? on
We'll be
finance?
meeting February because we didn't meet in January.
Okay, good. All right, policy. We're gonna turn it over to Commissioner, Barry Memphis.
Thank you, ma'am. For those that haven't heard my voice in a while, we did not meet in January, but there's some, I'm of course the chairman of the policy committee, but there is some policies hanging out there that we need to approve that we had done in November. So the first item on the agenda is 86708 DD, which is the central office telephone call coverage backup policy, which basically was who would answer the phone at DDSN at certain times. And we're asking that policy would now be made obsolete because we have put it into the next policy I'm going to talk about. So we need a motion, we need to come out of committee as a motion to make 36708 DD obsolete.
All right, so you made a motion. We need does it come out of committee or does it
Did you
need a
have
second?
committee meeting?
Well, we didn't actually have a committee this month, so I guess it would have to.
Just like I
It is a motion. Do I have a
Yeah, I
second?
get, yeah, it would be. Well, yeah, because we did it in November, so anyway,
We did do it in November.
we did do it in
Yeah.
November. So we can say it's a motion is that can come out of committee.
Okay, so a motion and a second to mark, 36708 DD obsolete. A motion and a second. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is carries and that is obsolete. All right,
Next item is 36711 DD, which is the telephone policy, which incorporates, as I said, the one I just spoke of. And it's procedures regarding management and utilization of stationary telephones and cell phones and telephone credit cards. And it establishes regulations for each. This is actually something that we approved these policies, a couple of these policies are things that we approved some months ago, but we basically as they were, and now we've revamped them to make them much better. After some discussions, I'm very much happier with the way they are now. And this is one that we kind of created within those. So for the record, the directive was posted for public comment, but there was no comments received. And so we're asking that one will be approved today as a motion and second come out of committee, as we said just a minute.
all right. So we have a motion and a second on 36711 DD. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries and 36711 DD is approved.
Thank you, ma'am. Next item is 36720 DD, which is relates to portable computing devices. And it establishes security mechanisms for both laptops and other portable security computer devices. And that directive was also put out for public comment, but there was no comments received. And so we're asking the same situation that that would be a motion and second to approve that out of committee.
Motion and a second on 36720 DD on portable computing devices. All in favor of the amendment, the changes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries and 36720 DD is approved.
Next item is 10401 DD, which is certification and licensure for DDSN residential and day services, which is rather comprehensive policy, but it is to identify the authority and guidance for DDSN to contract with an independent entity relating to certified in quality improvement and to certify licenses for the day program facilities. And that directive was also put out for public comment, and there was no comments received. And that one will take effect March 1st, so that we can do some training on that, on the procedures relating to that policy. So that'll take effect March 1st if we approve it here today, and the policy committee sees no reason not to. So,
This is also a motion and a second.
and also, of course, motion and second coming out of committee.
This is in reference to 10401 DD, certification and licensure of DDSN residential and day facilities. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries and is approved.
Thank you. The last one for today is, so I've heard my voice enough, I'm sure, is, for all those out there have, is 100-28-DD, which is quality management, which establishes, framework for DDSN relating to the quality management systems. And there was, that's a rather comprehensive and long policy, as you know, but the directive was put out for public comment, and there was a number of comments received, but they were primarily grammatical in nature, and so some of them we accepted and some of them we did not. But that has all been evaluated over and over, and now it's ready for our approval. So it comes as a motion to second out of committee, but technically this one, I guess, would not come out of motion second out of committee, because we didn't approve this second part with the
Changes.
changes, but they truly were grammatical. I think we have a couple of people that, when they retire from DDSN, should become English teachers, but they work for DDSN right now. But anyway, they were truly grammatical. So
We need English teachers.
That's right.
yeah, we actually do. A lot more teachers too.
Yeah.
But so I would think, to be safe and to be official, let me just say that that's a motion coming from me, and ask somebody to second it.
All right, we have a motion on 128 DD. It's quality, title of the document is quality management. And it is, it has significant change to it. Do I have a second on that motion? We have a set motion and a second. Commissioner Thomas is the second. Is there any discussion on this topic? I just want to thank Ralph Courtney, because it looks like Ralph Courtney did a lot of work on this, and I just want him to know how much we appreciate him. He always looks out for us when it comes to policy, and I appreciate him. And so we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? A motion on 128 DD carries, and that motion, that policy is approved.
Thank you, ma'am. That does it for our policy committee for January, and we have every intention of meeting again the second Tuesday in February to begin our regular process of going through our policies again.
All right, I want to just say, for two committees that haven't met since November, the two of you have kept us busy. And I just want to thank you all for working behind the scenes. I know y'all do a lot of work that's not acknowledged. I know that, you know, we've been really pushing this policy thing for 2 years to try to accommodate the LAC and do what they've asked us to do.
That's right.
And I think that, you know, the last LAC dinged us pretty hard for not updating policies. And I don't think they can ding us on that this time, but there's.
We had, I'm not going to say who or any circumstance would give it away, but we actually got some criticism for meeting too much.
Oh, really?
Yes, I'm dead serious.
What do you do?
Yeah.
Just-
Yeah, so what do? You do it right and you get criticized, and you don't do it, you get criticized.
Well, I just want the LAC to know that we really have been working hard to try to meet their request on policy. And finance is doing an excellent job as well. I'm really pleased with Quincy. I think Quincy's doing an exceptional job for us. You know, we've been really pleased with the work he's put out. I am going to take a brief moment to say that we are going to put the, what's it called, personnel committee back in place. I can do that without any vote or whatever. I am looking for a chairman for that. If you are willing to step up as chairman, please let me know. It's not that intense of a job, but I am going to be looking for a chairman over the next month or so. All right, so we're going to go to old business. PJ, outreach update.
So since this is the first meeting for 2023, I thought it'd be a good idea to kind of give you a synopsis of 2022's outreach activities, primarily focusing on our social media. That first little blurb you see about Newsbreak, Newsbreak is basically a news service, kind of like the AP Wire. What I was doing traditionally was sending out our press releases to the media like we've done in the past. Whether they pick it up or not pick it up is based on their news cycle, whether they're interested in our story or whether they had room for our story. But I noticed our pickup rate was not very high. We would put something out and maybe 1 in 20 or sometimes 1 in 50 outlets in the state would pick up our media, our press releases. Where I'd worked previously, we worked with a news service. So Newsbreak is a free service, so it doesn't cost us anything. And with my background in journalism, I basically applied to be a Newsbreak journalist that covers disability issues. Now, full transparency, I have to report when I write a story about DDSN that this is sponsored content. So we do give full transparency that I'm talking about us, and I obviously work for DDSN. So I make that clear on my Newsbreak page. But the one nice thing about this page is since I'm the only, probably the only journalist, at least in the Newsbreak family of journalists that report on disability issues, our stories get picked up every time. So it shows up in Google News, it shows up in Yahoo News. So what ends up happening is if they don't pick it up, traditional media doesn't pick it up the first time when I send things out, I will put it in Newsbreak. And the funny thing is, when the local papers see it in Newsbreak, they'll also see it from me, they'll often pick up the Google News or the Yahoo News version of it. It is just a method of getting our word out and getting our story out, which is something that was kind of my mission for this past year is getting out the good things we do as an organization and the good things that and the partners that we work with. So I wanted to increase the value of DDSN's partnership with all our partner organizations by also reporting on what they're doing. And the great side of that is we got lots and lots of impressions. So people are seeing stuff from us on a regular basis. I report typically about twice a month. This is 2 or 3 times a month. I started the Newsbreak site, the blog, in July. And since then, it has had 600,000 impressions. So 600,000 readers, not necessarily people. It might be the same people that keep reading our things. But our news items have been seen 600,000 times in the last 6 months, 6-7 months. I've garnered 900 followers, which is growing, which is really great. These are the people that share these stories within their social media with their friends. And I've only written 46 articles, but these are things that I write anyway. So these are press releases that I do. These are partner releases that I do. You know, when I do an event, I do announcements to the media as well as to our social media. So Newsbreak has been a really, really good tool for DDSN to get the word out about our story. I'm going to continue to develop and grow this blog as I see that it doesn't cost us anything. It's stories that I normally put out, but it's actually created a nice little outlet for us to show up on major news servers now. So the AP Wire also gets picked up by Google and Yahoo, but now DDSN also gets picked up, which is nice. That's something that we haven't had in the past, which I wanted to improve. I'm really happy with that. Facebook has been around since 2020. So this past year, I really wanted to boost up our engagement and talk about our partners, talk about our story, talk about the things that DDSN does that is important. And we've done quite well. We've had nearly 750,000 impressions, which is a great improvement over 2020, about 900% increase in impressions. Engagement is basically if someone likes or comments or shares. 8% may seem low, but when you look at social media metrics, 1% is actually good. 5% is great. Anything above 5, between 5 and 10% is excellent. So we have a highly engaged audience, which also means our content is very good. We have a lot of people sharing our content. We have a lot of people commenting on our content. We have a lot of people clicking on our content and trying to find out more. So our information that we put out on Facebook is good. And it's the same information I put out on Twitter and Instagram. Twitter and Instagram are brand new. I started those in April, so there's no back history behind them. You can see in Facebook is continuously growing, and I will continue to grow that. One thing about the impressions, that 700,000, 750,000-ish number is a little deceiving because 500,000 of it was one viral posting about our sensory morning we have at the South Carolina State Fair. It went viral within the spectrum and autism and disability community, big enough where all the news outlets in the region covered it at the state fair. All the newspapers in the region covered it because they saw it trending on Facebook. It was one of the most popular things happening in October in Columbia. Enough of the news outlets picked up on it, and they all showed up at the state fair for Accessibility Morning. We had 3,000 people show up at Accessibility Morning, where they were only expecting a few hundred. So they are very, very happy. The South Carolina State Fair is very happy with our relationship. So showing our value as a partner by bringing in several thousand people to an event they're only expecting a few hundred. Their Exceptional Citizens Day, we had 5,000 plus people with disabilities show up. We brought that back, working with the people at South Carolina State Fair.
How to get that Silver Achievement Award thing that's hanging out there. This is very good.
So 500,000 of that 700,000 plus was just one Facebook tweet. So without that, 200,000 is still very impressive for, growth from year to year. And I expect that, Instagram and Twitter are kind of different audiences. Instagram is a lot of professionals, people in, science and research, and kind of newsmakers and celebrities. So just people in the disability community don't follow Twitter as heavy. They're out there, but they're not as, as prevalent as they are on like Facebook. Instagram is one place that I know that a lot of disability groups, families, and things, these groups look for news, they look for events, and they look for things that we post. So again, engagement is quite high. And all this, Instagram has the highest engagement, all 13% engagement, which is absolutely outstanding. So we have a highly engaged Instagram audience that I want to grow. One of the things that I will be adding in 2023 is our DDSN YouTube channel. We are hiring a videographer person, something that I have no expertise in. I've worked in TV, but YouTube is a different animal for me. So we are bringing someone in that has that experience to develop the visual aspect of our social media as well as our marketing and promotional work. So in a nutshell, we had a very good social media year. And I hope to grow that continuously and add to that and add value to our partners. So we've been able to promote and partner, because our social media presence is so engaged and large. We get places like South Carolina State Museum, the Adventure Museum, Columbia Fireflies, Columbia Fireflies, coming out to us, asking us if we can help them with their sensory events. And so we've been regular contributors as well as participants and partners in their events. And we've grown their events from just a handful, 25, 30 to several hundred people showing up regularly to their events. So they see the value of working with us as a partner. So One of the new events we have moving forward, February, we have the South Carolina Philharmonic. We are working with them on their family-friendly sensory concert on February 19th at the Koger Center. We are also sponsoring a number of conferences. I'll get a synopsis for you for the conferences and meetings that we sponsored last year, but we had a very strong presence as well at those. An upcoming one will be the Medical College of the University of South Carolina's Assistant Technology Expo in Columbia on March 7th. We will have a presence there. We'll be there for the whole concert. Moving forward, we are now regular partners with the South Carolina State Museum's Accessibility Mornings. We've been able to grow their audience from just a handful of families to 100 plus to sometimes 200 people showing up every second Saturday, every month. So we are regular attendees at that, as well as our sensory evenings with the Adventure Museums. I believe those are on the first Friday evenings of the month, every other month. So our next one will be in February. I'm also working to create more accessibility type of events with other partners. So I'm reaching out to organizations such as Riverbank Zoo to see if they would do something special, as well as other museums. So I've worked on a lot here to develop what we have here. I'm going to expand out to other areas, so Greenville, Charleston, Newport Beach, things like that. So those are other places that we can have a presence and do good things and to let people know our story and what we do for the disability community. Internally, we are celebrating here, sharing some of my family traditions for the Lunar New Year. So if you get out in the hallway, there's a big pomelo that's carved out there and you can sample some of it. So I've been kind of sharing some of my family traditions as we are going into the Year of the Rabbit this Sunday. So I wish everybody a happy Lunar New Year, and I would hope that our year in 2023 is just as prosperous as it was in 2022.
Thank you.
At the last meeting, there was a technology summit that we were given a bulletin for that was supposed to be January 25th.
Yeah. Hosted by the South Carolina Human Services Provider
Yeah.
and the Charles Lee Center.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have
January
any
25th.
information on?
I can find out about it and promote it. So that's in Charleston?
No, it was
No,
in
it's
Spartanburg.
I think I got something in the mail yesterday about it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, I can find out about it. Do you want me to promote it and get more people involved?
Yeah, that might be good. It's what Wednesday.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. That's the big thing right now is trying to find out where all these different things are happening where we can kind of plug in either sponsor or help promote.
Yeah,
So-
the Charles Lee Center was hosting it.
Yeah.
Okay. I will get in touch with them and see what I can do.
I might have an email that I can forward to all the commissioners about it.
Sure.
So,
Send it, please,
I think they sent.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind
Yeah.
forwarding that to me. Yeah, so if you have any events within your regions that you would like to see promoted, a lot, and that's what people are looking for. They're looking to us to let them know what resources are out there for their families, whether it's an event, whether it's, a new type of therapy or a new place that's opening up or a new service we provide. Those are great because they're looking for us. They're looking towards us. So just let me know. If you send me those type of events, I'd be more than happy to promote them. That's just part of my job and I'm happy to do it. And I can also put it on our DSM blog. It's got a very good audience now. I want to grow that to, thousands in the next few years.
Year of the Rabbit.
Hmm?
Year of the Rabbit.
Yes, this year, unless you're Vietnamese, then it's Year of the Cat.
Oh, no kidding. Lunar?
Yes,
The Vietnamese is not lunar?
they are lunar. They just have different
Oh,
animals.
different animals.
They have different animals in their zodiac,
Well, if a cat meets a rabbit, I know who's gonna win.
usually the cat.
And you really do get responses from discrete communities in South Carolina that,
About
Well,
Our events. and
yeah,
things.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. I get lots of people that will copy me events and ask about things we're doing. And we get a lot, like the one that went viral, the accessibility morning at South Carolina State Fair. There were literally hundreds of people thanking DDSN and the State Fair for doing this. Because a lot of families, like, I've never been able to go to the State Fair. I will go to this one.
Good job.
I see why he's named PJ now.
Well,
What you just said, I just realized.
yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, you do.
All right,
You gotta
next.
really think about what Ed's talking about sometimes, you know.
All right, we're gonna go to new business, financial update. Harley is gonna fill in for Quincy today, who's out.
So on the financial update slide at tab 9, you will see the year-to-date performance of the adopted fiscal year 23 spending plan, which was in the amount of $939 million. Through December 2022, BDSN has spent approximately $164 million in agency cash. The direct fee-for-service Medicaid billing expenditures through December 2022 were approximately $311 million. So to date, the agency is currently on target with spending plan projections, with us just slightly over projections by about 0.6%. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to follow up with Quincy.
We need a motion to approve.
Yes. Motion to approve the 23 spending plan as presented today.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? None, motion carries and that spending plan is approved. Okay, Harley, family training and support.
Thank you very much. So as part of autism strategic planning, DDSN staff have been reviewing services provided in other states for individuals with autism spectrum disorder, ASD. So based on those reviews and conversations with other states, as well as what we know gaps in service exist in South Carolina, DDSN staff have developed a new service that we're calling Family Training and Support. This is only a draft name for this service, so bear in mind that that might change. The purpose of this service is that it would be available to individuals after the age of 6, so after eligibility for early intervention expires. It's for children eligible for DDSN services that are not receiving more intensive services like applied behavior analysis. And so the service would provide persons supported and their families with training to promote functional skills and effectively respond to problem behaviors. And so the service is designed to be delivered in the home and other natural environments for the supported person. Individuals receiving that service would be evaluated in order to reauthorize services after a period of time. And the hours of services received would be restricted to 2 to 12 hours per week face-to-face. So this is an abbreviated version of applied behavior analysis to some extent, if that helps y'all visualize what this would look like in the real world. And then we hope to make transition planning a really big component of that service. We know that that's a big gap in South Carolina, and especially dealing with individuals at that school age, right? Being there and being able to facilitate working with the schools, with the other service providers that the person supported might be receiving or working with. And then, of course, the case managers to manage expectations, monitor outcomes, and ensure appropriate transitions occur. So the goal of this service, which I've briefly summarized for you all, is to reduce the need for emergency or crisis services and to provide a more flexible behavioral service option for families and guardians to best meet the needs of the person supported. So we're asking the commission to approve state funding to support piloting this new service, to really evaluate it as a new service option for DDSN eligible individuals, and to refine service delivery with select providers. This will allow us to collect data and analyze that data in order to optimize the service and to finalize provider qualifications and service standards. So depending on the data that we collect during the pilot, we could seek to potentially add this service to the waivers administered by DDSN. However, DDSN would not want to limit that service to only waiver enrolled individuals, and so we believe state funding would always need to be available, at least at some level.
And so just for your awareness, that service plan as drafted has been reviewed by the ITAC, and suggestions and feedback were incorporated, as well as by the ACT Early team at the University of South Carolina Center for Disability Resources. So basically, we had a number of experts in this field review the service and provide feedback, which we then incorporated. So our next steps would be to outline the pilot project requirements, solicit providers to pilot the service, and enroll individuals in the service. And of course, the commission would continue to be updated as these steps progress. So as previously mentioned, we're asking the commission to please approve state funding to support piloting this new service, family training and supports in South Carolina.
Right, so cost-wise, what are we dealing with here?
So that is a piece that will be part of the pilot, right, to understand. We have some numbers that are based on research from similar types of services that other states are doing. And so basically we have different levels of training or education that the individual providing the service could have. And based on that level of education, the rate would increase. And so if we assume 6 months of service delivery within the maximum amount allowed per week, which is 12 hours, and you had a doctoral trained individual providing the service, the amount would be about $50,000 per our estimates. Now, this is, again, very much an estimate, but that's what we would be looking at the maximum education level of the individual providing the service, as well as the maximum number of hours being received by the individual supported. If you went down to a bachelor's degree for the individual providing the service, but kept the max hours, it would go down to 27,000. So that's about the range for 6 months, which we anticipate to be the approximate amount of time that we would have an individual receive that service, especially in the pilot, before we reevaluate to potentially reauthorize the service. But the point of the service is for it to be a step down, right? This isn't something that an individual would receive for year after year after year. If this wasn't working, we would probably recommend additional services and supports or more intensive behavioral supports than what this particular service would offer. The hope is that this would be something that would be intensive to some extent initially, and then there would be a step down to the point where the individual might no longer need these specific services. This the purpose of it.
So I know that the legislature approved this homes, autism homes, correct? And this would be the step in between the family home and those autism homes.
Well, I think that more intensive behavior supports would be the next step, but that is intensive, and it requires a lot of dedication by the family's guardians, the individual supported, and the provider providing that service. So this is an alternative to that more intensive ABA that would still get at a lot of the same things, but be maybe or hopefully, right, an easier, not sell necessarily, but be enticing to families as a way to improve behaviors and help with transitions and the things that these persons supported.
Okay, so you're asking for $50,000 right now?
Well, we're asking y'all to approve us to pilot it, and then we would outline the pilot plan and bring that to y'all as well. I think the pilot plan, there is a pilot directive, and so I can go back to look at that for actual steps, but we want to be able to state fund this. If you can approve that, obviously we would work with y'all and keep y'all informed about steps as the pilot progresses and costs associated with that pilot. We would be, of course, very cognizant of costs, and so we would minimize the number of individuals enrolled as well as providers enrolled to ensure that our costs aren't.
Chairman, I've moved that we approve the pilot as she has outlined.
Okay, okay.
Questions?
All right,
So
do we have a second for the motion?
A second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Now, discussion, questions.
okay, so you said that it would start at age 6. It could go up to what age?
21.
Okay. And how exactly would people be enrolled in it? Is it through referrals? How's it?
That part is still in discussion about how the pilot would work. And so the pilot might state, this is how we'd enroll people. The evaluation and analysis of the data collected during that pilot could tell us that we might need to go in a different direction or modify the enrollment process. So this is really the initial project to see if this is even a feasible service to offer, if it provides the benefits that we think and hope that it will, and to finalize those requirements and qualifications and standards that are necessary for any service we deliver.
How many children do you think we ultimately could support with this program?
I can't answer that specifically. I don't know who's, based on what we have from an eligibility standpoint, I don't even know that number. I mean, we could look and see, but we wouldn't limit this to just autism. It could be effective for individuals with IED, DD, and other diagnoses.
The pilot's just for autism.
Not necessarily. We want it to be potentially a waiver service, so it would be eligible to anybody that we serve. But so I don't know if we will limit the pilot to autism. It's just, this is based on autism strategic planning, discussions with other states, and identifying gaps in services. It wouldn't just benefit individuals with ASD.
So after the pilot program, we would try to make it into a waiver service so that we can get federal.
Yes, that would be the goal, but we do anticipate that there would be individuals not enrolled in the waiver who could benefit from this. So we would love to keep the option open to state funded.
Do you know of something similar to this that we're stopped doing so that we're now starting doing this?
We weren't serving any children.
Well,
I'm not aware of anything for those that have been here longer than me. I'm not aware of anything.
well, I mean, we have family support funds, don't we, that we give to family, the families can qualify. Lori, isn't it family training? What is it called? Family?
So probably the most like service that we deliver, and it still doesn't have necessarily the behavioral component that this service does, is early intervention, where we provide family training, which is maybe what you're talking about. This service, is somewhat like that, a more intensive kind of family training and teaching, but it really surrounds behavioral issues, which is something a little different. And then, there's the traditional ABA service, which is very intensive, a lot of hours, a lot of time commitment. So this is kind of in between that.
And there's waiting lists for the ABA. So
Sure. That's the other thing that we need to try to figure out in the pilot is the provider pool, because one of the reasons that there's waiting lists for ABA is because of a lack of providers, right? So we got to make sure that if we're going to pilot something and have something that's an alternative, that we can come up with, providers that can be accessed. So, that's just part of what we want to do with this pilot is figure out what we can do to address the gap that's out there.
And to add, thank you, Lori, I appreciate that. To add to what Lori said, I'll say that our anticipated qualifications for providers wouldn't be like a BCBA, right? I mean, yes, they could deliver this service, of course, but not having that requirement being a little bit broader with educational and professional requirements for individuals providing the service would open up a larger pool of individuals who potentially could provide this service in South Carolina.
Could I ask a question? Dr. Davis, thank you very much for this very innovative concept here. And I mean, bring more. I mean, I presume there are conferences that go on nationwide all the time that if leadership were attending conferences, they might take that rings a bell. We could try something like that here. I personally would be really, really open to that. And the legislators do conferences all the time, by the way. My question was, you could partner with any of the universities, I would think. Somebody that comes through with a social services degree or something like that on the BA level, maybe a certificate that would be, I mean, asking for a PhD is, that's pretty tough to do. But something that gives them a little bit extra. I wonder if you could find partners that would be able to do that so that they receive an actual, it would be, David with the BA and whatever that appertains, but then the 3-month degree that I got from Clemson or USC, wherever, would give me then that extra kick that you might need for maybe the undergraduate degree alone might not be enough, but putting that threshold of the PhD might put it out of reach. And I'm just thinking, what a neat category. I mean, you get your bachelor's degree and you've heard about the program. We have this program. All you got to do is get certified. And so you do a certification. It might be unique to South Carolina or unique to one of the universities. I'll just run that up the flagpole for you.
So I do want you to know, so I thank you very much for this suggestion. So two things I just wanted to highlight. One is that, of course, there's a range in education and professional experiences that we hope individuals who could provide this service would have. And that range would, or the amount paid for that service, right, per unit would vary depending on that, like it does with other services that we support through the waivers and through state funds. And then I will say that certificate programs are an excellent suggestion. I have some experience working at Clemson with a certificate program.
I
And so, of course,
noticed the outfit you got.
this is not orange. I'm not a Clemson fan. No, I teach there. It's reddish orange, I guess.
If you say it's red, then that's all right.
I have a Clemson ID in my wallet. I do not begrudge Clemson. I'm just not a huge orange fan. But no, I think that that's a great suggestion. So working with my contacts at Clemson as well as the University of South Carolina, I think that that's something that we could at least put out there, because I think certificate programs usually have looser requirements with regards to, you know, what it takes to stand it up. And so I think that it might be, if this pilot shows the success of this potential service, I think that would be a great way to increase the pool of providers available.
Yes.
Could you help me conceptualize what you're doing by giving me a real life example of who might benefit from this?
I'm going to ask Stephanie to give me a real life example, because she was one of the main DDSN staff, as mentioned, who
Stephanie's
drafted.
been introduced. We've heard about Stephanie. Why don't you introduce Stephanie?
Yeah, so Stephanie Turner, she is the autism program manager here at DDSN. She started back in September. I knew it. She started back in September. She's been great to work with, lots of new initiatives related to autism going on. And she took over some work that had already been started by Dr. Fry and some other DDSN staff to really get this down. Did a lot of research, talked to a lot of different states, and she's also a BCBA, so I think she would have great examples of individuals who would benefit from this. Do y'all have any additional questions for me? Do you want me to stay up here?
Anybody else?
So did we finish the vote? I think we're open
No,
for.
we're not.
We're open for discussion. We haven't voted yet. We're doing discussion. We're gonna ask her whatever questions we have for her real quick, kind of give us a.
Good morning, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Another point on their certificate option, which is a fantastic idea, is also in the policy or the outline that we wrote is like 40 hours of training before they ever set foot in the door. And that was loosely based on the registered behavior technician training that leads to a certification. So, you know, whether that's, you know, internal to their program or something at one of the colleges, I mean, wonderful. Just the additional training that we would need. Now, a real life example, I'm going to go young up and then old down. So I would be thinking about somebody who is transitioning out of early intervention, can't find an ABA therapist because they only want or are only available for 10 hours a week, maybe 5 hours a week, and there's no ABA provider in their area that's willing to pick them up. Somebody who provides this service would be looking for them specifically because that's the time frame that they're looking for. So that could be somebody who would maybe transition into a higher level, just maybe they get started at 10 hours a week and then they get on board with an ABA provider in their area, and they go up to 20, 30 hours a week, depending on the need there. And then if you think of old down, I would think somebody who has been in ABA for quite some time and might have started at the 40 hours a week, then they went to 30, 20, and now they can transition to this type of provider who's providing a very similar service, but with more focused goals on behavior. And then it's even a step down from there to less intensive services.
Yep. Any other questions?
All right, Commissioners, we have a motion, a second on the floor. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. That pilot program is approved. All right, next item. Let's see, I think we're looking for Lori to give us head and spinal cord, Haskell drop-in center.
And I just appeared.
Oh, look at her, there she is. This is another lady, I just want to say thank you for the work you're doing. I know that we kept your staff extremely busy with policy and beyond the other stuff you have to do, and we just want you to know how much we appreciate you.
Thank you. So if you guys will recall, in May of last year, 2022, the commission voted to continue funding for 4 head and spinal cord injury drop-in centers. The rate that you approved was $28,000 per center per quarter. And you approved it through the end of December 2022. So I'm back in front of you because as you'll recall in the presentation in May, we developed a plan back in 2019 to try to make these 4 drop-in centers, which were originally with Medicaid services. Because of the timing, right, and other factors, we've not been able to transition to them being fully independent. So the centers initially were being state funded at about $800,000 a year. We're right around 400 now, just to kind of give you where we are. Several things that we did to try to help them become more self-sufficient is we allocated head and spinal cord injury waiver slots to all the people who were participating in the drop-in centers. We got the day service rates increased in the head and spinal cord injury division because they were very unequal. We developed a new service called Independent Living Skills Training. At the time that I spoke to you guys in May, we had just amended the HASKI waiver. That service has now been approved, but it has not been fully stood up, meaning service standards, providers, ready. So the thing about independent living skills is many of the people who participate in these head and spinal cord injury drop-in centers need one-to-one services. So this independent living skills is kind of like some of the traditional day services around training and assistance, but it's one-to-one instead of a group environment. So what I'm here to ask you for today is for an extension of the approval in the $28,000 per calendar quarter per center in state money, so that we can get to the point of standing up the independent living skill service and continuing to assist providers with trying to become self-sufficient. Again, this transition's been going on a long time, but it's kind of like everything under the sun has happened since we started. So we started in 2019, COVID happened, right? So COVID happened and it was really hard to try to do anything during COVID because everything kind of shut down. And then we're faced with the head and spinal cord injury population. When you have a center in a location, there's just fewer people who might even need the service, right? So it's center-based services are tough in the world of head and spinal cord injury division for a couple of reasons. Sometimes they don't really want a center-based service. And then sometimes there's just not enough people to kind of financially fund a center-based service. So I would love approval for a year, but if you want me to come back in 6 months, I can do that too and kind of give you an update.
Okay, so there's some word that you just said, I was gonna ask you to explain it. Self-sufficient, what do you mean when you say that?
So what we mean by that is that they're billing for services. And the billing to Medicaid for those services is funding the service in the location. So I'll give you an example. The majority of our traditional day programs, right? They bill Medicaid for services. That's the funding that they get to operate the entire center. There are trickles of people who are individually state funded because maybe they don't meet requirements for waiver funding or something, but by and large, they're billing for a service, they're using that billing for that service to fund the program. The issue with these is there's not enough people and not enough billing to support the center location. So this $28,000 per calendar quarter funds sometimes physical settings, sometimes staffing, because there's not enough billing to fund the staffing, and then overhead. Again, like I said, that amount has gone down. It's been cut in half. So that's kind of the good news. By enrolling people in the waiver, enrolling people in services. The issue is, if you don't have a lot of people, and the other thing around the person supported in these locations is many of them don't want to go to a center 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, right? They might want to go on Monday and they might want to go on Thursday, but they don't want to go sit in the center Monday through Friday, which is kind of a difference, you know, in the way that our traditional programs have been run.
So this is a,
And I toured one of the facilities
Sure.
and met a lot of the people that have benefited from the services and really appreciate the support they're getting, whether they're
Right.
trying to get a job, trying to, re-enter the world again.
Right.
From a social standpoint, from building their confidence up to, really try to sustain their lives, improve their lives and grow their opportunities. So it's always amazed me that we only had 4 in the state, right?
It would be nice to have more, but again,
There's a lot of people. How many people do we serve with spinal cord?
so the nice thing is, if we can get the independent living skills service stood up, right, we could at least deliver the service statewide. It doesn't mean there's a center for them to go to.
So
It
we
just
could have a
means.
provider provide this independent living skills and they wouldn't have to go to the.
Correct.
Or
So
center.
the idea behind the independent living skills is if you need help getting a job, if you need help, you want help, you want to apply for jobs on the internet, you need somebody to just kind of help you figure out how to fill out applications, all that kind of stuff, that you could use independent living skills to do that one-on-one training anywhere. So that's kind of the key to this. Now, the issue with these centers is they've been in existence since 2003 in the locations that they're in. I think it's 2003. So that there are many people who really like going there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that those centers are ever going to be fully self-sufficient, because what happens is people go there for specific things. It's not a program for them to just go to every day and sit there, right? So it might be that Johnny's looking for a job and he might be going to the center. And he comes and does that, and then maybe he doesn't come back for 6 or 8 months. So,
You may get a job. I mean,
right, that's what I mean.
To get a job and then get
don't need it.
upset and then
Right.
they don't need that again. And the problem comes in that rehab doesn't really understand that concept. I mean, and it's sad, but we're dealing with that. I'm dealing with it, is that once you get a person with a spinal cord injury established, they're fine until they tear their walls out and their ceiling out. I mean, when those kind of things happen, it throws everything into chaos. And at that point, they need to have help again. And that's part of the issue. And that's what makes it different from a day program workshop where those folks need that daily interaction. But spinal cord injuries aren't necessarily that way.
a lot of people in these centers have traumatic brain injury as well, right? So they tend to be the big users of this. And so, again, it's just that I think we thought in the beginning, let's just make them kind of these traditional day service type places. Well, we realized pretty quickly that that's not going to work. And what I was going to say earlier is what we've seen is we try to monitor like how many people are getting services, how much service they're getting. And so what happens is sometimes like the providers who have these centers, they'll increase enrollment, right? So they have more people coming, but when you look at the bottom line and the total number of units, the money's the same, right? Because you might have more people coming, but they're not coming for more time, or somebody who was coming for a lot of time has started coming less time. So, again, I think that,
If you,
there's not a lot of people, right? If you look at total number of people going. But to the people who go, it's really important.
The year would simply be 28 times 4, right?
Correct. Times 4.
Let me just give her the whole thing and let her report back in a year. Let's see where we are.
I think it's gonna take a year to get.
I think it'll take a year to get the new service stood up and get the people who are currently in the centers transition to the service, because again, people are used to kind of this location where they go. And it might be that some of the providers who have locations will be able to figure out a way to do it with billing the new service and adding other people. But it might be that some of the locations are not able to brick and mortar.
When you say the location, do you mean the 4 centers?
Yeah.
So do we have, how many providers, do we have providers that would be offering this independent living skills service that are not part of the centers?
100%.
We have.
Right? So what our plan is, again, we haven't set up the
We want
service.
them.
We want providers statewide to do independent living skills training. We are assuming that the people in these centers will want to receive that service.
Yeah.
So those providers, we think, would be very interested in providing that
I think
service.
we want to sign them up to be able to provide this service, but then we would also like to
Sure,
have other providers outside of those 4 centers
right.
also be available. How do
Right.
those people sign up for those?
So we have to develop provider qualifications and a process
And
for
that's
them to
going to
apply.
come.
That's the thing that
Got it.
we're kind of waiting on,
Okay.
right?
We have a motion. Do we have a motion?
Where are the 4 centers?
Motion.
I'm sorry.
Greenville,
Greenville, Charleston, Horry, Columbia.
I move that they give them the whole year.
Okay, we have a motion.
I would second that.
We have a second on motion. Further discussion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, motion carries. You had a year.
Thank you.
And we'd love to have reports on it, because I think that's helpful for us to be able to get word out.
Giving a report in 6 months, even though we have approval, and I'll just kind of let
It
you know
helps
where
us
we
get
are.
the word out about these centers too.
And also I could, have some in mind from providers that would probably be interested in being
DJ.
outside of that.
DJ.
Did you want a feature article sent out about it?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And let's
Yes.
just encourage people to use these centers and,
Yeah.
and let's see what we've got that, how we can really beef that service up. I think that's a great idea.
before we go to the next item, PJ, I wanted to ask you one other question while you were up there a minute ago. How many months have you been with us, sir?
10. Yep. All right. Next item is Stephanie Turner.
Hello again.
Stephanie.
How are you? It's been such a long time. All right, so I'm here today to talk to you guys about our new BCBA program here at DDSN. So we plan to enroll some regional center staff members in an online verified course sequence offered through Clemson University Center for Behavior Analysis. The coursework would start in March of 2023 and last about 2 years. It'll satisfy the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, the BACB's requirements for a board certified behavior analyst, a BCBA. And the supervised fieldwork would be provided by DDSN's Autism Program Manager at each of the regional facilities. Now, a couple highlights of why we want them to be BCBAs is BCBA certification shows that individuals have met certain requirements that are critical in providing and overseeing behavioral analytics services. BCBA certification verifies that individuals have certain knowledge, skills, and abilities.
How long does it take to get one?
2 years.
Okay.
To include their coursework and their supervised fieldwork.
And the undergraduate requirement is what?
Well, for these people, we want a master's degree because that's what it needs to happen. for
All right,
these
the
people.
undergraduate degree would be in what?
Anything.
Some kind of
They're
social
not-
services or something, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter to the BAC.
Okay, you just need you just need the MA,
Yes.
and then they get the certification. Or does the certification part of the MA?
No, it's separate. They have to have the MA first,
Yeah.
and then they go through the coursework. And while they're going through the coursework, they also do.
You get a lot of people that do this? That's pretty significant.
So-
A master's degree and 2-year certification?
we're putting them through the 2-year certification. They just have to have a master's degree.
Okay,
And then they say, hey, I want to do this. We put them through the 2 years of online courses.
oh, it's online stuff. You,
Yes.
you don't have to, okay, got it. All right,
Yes.
good,
And
thank you.
to your point,
To your point,
I got
it
it.
is
I got
a big
it.
commitment
Yeah,
to
that's
want
good, that's
to
good. I got it. I got it.
another
Yeah.
2 years.
Plus your 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
How many people?
But they're paid very well, correct?
So they will be
Yeah, pretty
compensated.
good.
That
Kinda
that's still
depends.
up in the air.
if they live here in South Carolina, they don't necessarily get the best rate, but.
Does
Well,
that-
BCBA's, the BCBA's, the starting rate, if you just look on Indeed, is like 60,000.
You don't have to have a thesis for the MA, do you?
You don't.
Okay, doke. How about certification? Any written requirement that's like a thesis type thing?
So
That's
to do this,
okay, it's a piece of cake. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
to do this, they just have to have a master's, they fill out an application,
Yeah.
but the FA of their regional facility has to speak for them.
Okay, doke.
So that's how they pretty much get selected.
How many do we have currently certified this way? Oh,
It,
you.
it works for DDSN Central Administrative Office, one.
Oh, no, I mean
what do you mean?
statewide.
BCBA's
Well-
that work for the state, for DDSN, that work for DDSN, I'm aware of just me.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of staff.
This is-
We're trying to,
Not on staff, I'm talking about in general. So you're the first one for us, and you're trying to increase that now. You don't really
Yes.
have anybody, you don't know of anybody else.
Not that works for the state. So most of the ABA providers in the
Right.
community work with children. So it's new for South Carolina to go into the adult space with applied behavior analysis. And so this is one way for us to do that and to encourage that. There's just not a funding mechanism right now under Medicaid to do that. So that's why all the money's really pointing towards children right now, the 0 to 21. But there are BCBA's in the state that support adults, but it's private pay. That's out of pocket.
You know, you could get them trained and then they fly off to some other place. That happens a lot with policing stuff. They get trained and, you know,
So there's a
they
commitment.
move on to, do you have a contract or something?
We
that they-
do. We
Good.
would have a commitment with them. They would have to work with us for a certain number of years, so they pay back a portion of the, tuition.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sounds good.
So we're just letting you know about this new initiative, pretty excited about it. Hopefully we have a few across the state. What also is exciting about this is BCBA supervised registered behavior technicians, which is another initiative that we're working on. So we will have people in the regional facilities to support the RBTs at their regional facilities. So it really supports each other.
There you go. No motion needed. No. All right, that concludes our new business. We are going to enter into executive session today. We've got to get our regular annual litigation update, legal advice regarding freedom of information, personnel matter, and the search for state director, and a contractual matter, working on the contract with Dr. Fry. So we're going to enter into executive session if I hear no, motion in it? Motion of second? Motion and a second. We will be going into executive session for a little bit. All right, commissioners, I'm calling this meeting back to order. We rose out of executive session. No decisions were made, no votes taken. Is there any further business that needs to come before this body?
That tomorrow we meet at 10 o'clock to do this,
Strategic planning.
yeah,
Very good.
strategic. We're gonna meet here.
In this room? In this room. We'll meet in this room. All right, and I do want to mention our next meeting is going to be in February. I believe that is February the 16th, 15th or 16th? 16th, Thursday, February 16th at 10 a.m. We are meeting here in Columbia. We will not be traveling. And basically the reason we aren't going to travel is because when we did, no one came. So we're going to take a little time off from the travel. And if we get a request to travel again, we will do that. But we would like for you all to come here and join us at DDSN if you'd like to offer public comment. But until then, until further notice, we will not be traveling. Is there any other business to come before this body?
Oh, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, hearing none, we stand adjourned.